Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Chris Brown, your state senator, and I want to welcome you to this episode or edition, or this time we're going once again talking about all the things affecting Atlanta County with the coronavirus. I hope all of you are doing well. I'm joining you because, as you know, each week I think it's important that we bring you as much information as possible about openings, the statistics, and just things to help you, whether it's from unemployment to veterans benefits. If you know anyone who you think may benefit from the information we're giving here today, please go ahead and press Facebook Live, and they will be able to receive it also. I want to thank Scott Cronick from WOND, who has been replaying a lot of these Facebook Live videos on his show on Friday. It's important, of course, to help get the word out. And as you all may know, I continually post information on our Facebook page, Chris Brown NJ. It's a coronavirus site. And it has everything that has to do with Atlanta County. So we're trying to do everything we can to work together to try to get through this rotten time. After my conversation with our guest today, I will provide some updates, which I believe are important to all of you. So please, if you like, stay tuned. Now, why we're here today with the tourism season upon us, finding out what our local towns are doing to get ready. This afternoon, we're very lucky to have somebody who I consider a friend for over 20 years. Time goes fast. The mayor of Atlantic City, Marty Small. Mayor, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us.
Yes, Chris, we definitely go back 20 years when I started my political career. As a matter of fact, my very first fundraiser in politics was thrown by you and Damon Tyner at the old Lefties, which is now Geno's on North Carolina Avenue. And good afternoon to your listening audience, and it's a great day here in particular.
Good afternoon to you too, and thank you. And boy, your memory is pretty darn good. So how are you doing, first and foremost, you and your family? How are you doing personally, and how are you doing dealing with the coronavirus?
Yes, personally, my family and I are safe and well and blessed during these times. I'm a family person anyway, so, being in the house the majority of your time with the ones you love, you can't replace that. And professionally, we still have the city to run. I have a couple Zoom meetings. It's a council meeting today. Preparing for a couple of more interviews, and we extended the coronavirus. I'm breaking the news on your show. We extended the coronavirus testing sites and the senior hot meal plan for another month, and hopefully after the council meeting, I have another positive announcement that my administration has been proactive during these times.
Well, there are two things you mentioned there. The first one is, yes, with the coronavirus restrictions, I too have spent an inordinate amount of time, of course, at home with my family. And I joked with you earlier, I love them dearly, obviously, but I think we're spending a little too much time together now. So we're ready to have some of our own free time. But I want to thank you for breaking that news. And while we're on the subject, Mayor, one of the things that you did was you opened, with the help of your city fire department, Mr. Evans and others, you opened 2 testing sites. Do you want to tell everybody about that?
Yes, and I can't do anything without a great team around me. I equate it to me being the quarterback and the offensive coordinator all at once, calling the plays, giving out certain plays to the personnel to execute, on my behalf. So kudos to Harold Reeves, Scott Evans, Del Finch, my chief of staff who works extremely hard, Ernest Coursey, for the testing sites. The first phase of it ends on Friday, and phase 2 is going to be just a little different, a small tweak. And as I always says, I'm not going to govern and make decisions on feelings and emotion. I'm going to deal with the data that's presented. So we had our testing sites at the Showboat the walk-up site in between Atlantic, Pacific, Delaware, Maryland, that operated on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we had the drive-up site at Beta Field, which is on Wednesdays and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. But we noticed, and which was surprising, that it has been the walk-up traffic has been much more consistent. However, I didn't want to get rid of the drive-through,
Sure.
During the time, but we're still going to operate the drive-through. So same hours, 10 to 2. It'll be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at the Showboat lot in between Atlantic, Pacific, Delaware, and Maryland. And on Friday, it will be the drive-up site at Beta Field. So we still give people both options. The president and the governor and every health expert said that, testing is the key.
Yes.
And I thought that it would be irresponsible if we didn't continue. So I'm thrilled that we're able to offer this to our first responders and residents of Atlantic City, and look forward to getting through this pandemic.
I couldn't agree with you more. And of course, on behalf of the county and the people outside of Atlantic City, we thank you, because the testing as well as the ability to trace people are going to be key in making sure that as we open, there's not another spike. And if there is a spike, it's also going to be key to make sure that we can keep it under control. And
yes,
so, yeah, go ahead.
And people have to understand, so in the grand scheme of things, when we're talking about the totality of the state, our numbers are low in comparison, but people are still getting sick, people are still dying, and we have to keep an eye on the pending fall and winter version of the coronavirus, which all health experts expect to be worse. So that's something to keep an eye on in the future, as well as what we're doing in the present.
Well, that's all true. And everything that we try to do, we want to do collectively and build consensus and do it responsibly, and understanding that you can't just flip a switch, but we are in the process. And one of the things that helps us to open and let people get back to their lives and save businesses that are otherwise potentially could maybe never reopen is through some of the responsible things of making sure that we have robust testing and the trace. And that's something that you've certainly helped make sure that we have that. And, with 25 million visitors annually, Atlantic City is at the top of the list of resorts towns in the state and the country for that matter. And do you expect to see crowds on the boardwalk and beach this weekend and throughout the summer?
I mean, I do. I don't think it will be, like it would have been. We would have been ramping up for another successful summer, coming off a tremendous year last year. I think a lot of people, will have reservations about doing it. Just some people I talk to, they don't want to fly. They don't want to, go to a concert. They don't want to do a lot of things they're saying for a year. But then on the flip side, some people may have what they say cabin fever and want to get out. But I can tell you this, that my administration has been proactive. Immediately, we put together a group that focuses on reopening the economy, and it's all the stakeholders from the DGE, the Casino Control Commission, the Casino Association, and other businesses throughout the city. We meet every Friday, and everybody is wanting to get back to normal, with the understanding that we can't do until it's safe to do so. I know the state is opening things gradually. We're having conversations on, when do we reopen the hotels and short-term rentals. That's a conversation that we're having today to, at least get some of our economy going. But, we'll make the appropriate decision, and we'll be guided by the data. But as far as this Memorial Day weekend, the city of Atlantic City is prepared, and that's because we're going to continue to be proactive under my administration. We'll have lifeguards out there on the beach. I'm opening up the sea on Friday.
Oh,
and, it's just going to be, a grand time. And we'll have things in place from the ambassadors, from special improvement district to some public works workers and our police officers to maintain social distancing as best as possible. So we're prepared for whatever they bring.
Well, what you just said, of course, is important for everybody to learn and hear and make sure they understand that the city, in a responsible manner, following the guidelines of the state, is going to open the beaches, and the boardwalk has remained open. It's one of the towns that I commend you for having the confidence in the residents of Atlantic City and having the confidence in people to use their good judgment and make sure that they social distance and keeping the boardwalk open. And at the same time, when you're talking about the small business, I know I've been working with the Casino Association along with you and others to help and work with the casinos to submit their plans to the DGE. And so obviously when you're talking about 27,000 families who count on those jobs, being responsible, submitting responsible plans. But once those plans are submitted and they meet the guidelines, it seems to me there should be no reason to keep 27,000 people out of work if we can do it in a safe way.
Yes, and we talked about that, and we had those meaningful discussions, questions like, okay, what does the casino floor look like? What does restaurants look like? How can you maintain social distancing? You also have to remember that a lot of people, restaurants are a small profit margin. And when you look at, the rearrangement of their seating area, if you got to remove tables, that can affect people's bottom line. And we're very conscious of that. We're sympathetic and empathetic. But when you look at what we do, does everyone entering the casino or hotel have to wear a mask? What about the slot machines? How would they deploy their personnel to the areas to make sure that the handle and the buttons are sprayed and wiped down? Those are the conversations that we're having. And also remember, it's not like if we announce, today that the casinos are open, that they'll be able to open on Friday. That's not happening. They won't open on Memorial Day, but one of the things that we're looking at that when that time comes is a lead time. And a lot of the executive orders have a few days in between because they're going to have to train personnel to understand what the new norm is. They're going to have to make sure they have all the equipment necessary. And listen, we're there as a guide to assist them. Trust me, we want to open the economy, but as I stated many times, all money ain't good money. We have to also keep in mind that we have to keep thinking about the employees. They're in danger, they're in harm's way. And it's not just about Atlantic City. Atlantic City is a worldwide destination. People come here from all over. So it's like, okay, do we phase the casino opening? I don't think for the foreseeable future, large gatherings such as concerts will be allowed. So, I'm hoping for the best. But as I stated all along from day one, that we're going to be proactive and we're going to be responsible for the good people in the city of Atlantic City.
Well, I know that you have been proactive and that you want to do it responsibly and that we're working together to get the casinos open, not just for the casino's sake, but because of those 27,000 families who are now unemployed, dealing with the horror show that is a state unemployment system and trying to see if they can't get a check so they can feed their family. And one of the things, and I touched upon it before, was Atlantic City was the only major shore town to keep its beaches and boardwalk open. I'm happy you did that, and I'm curious as to why. What was your thought process?
Well, once again, showing leadership and not governing on feelings and emotions, because a lot of people would say, oh, you got all these people going to come here from out of town, they're going to do this, they're going to, it's going to be a mess. However, I'm the mayor of Atlantic City, and I'm responsible for the health, welfare, and safety of the residents of Atlantic City. When the governor issued the stay-at-home order, in the very next breath, he said, however, I encourage you to exercise, take a jog, ride a bike, and get some fresh air. what better place to have that therapeutic healing? Because remember, mental health is key too. Than our Atlantic City Boardwalk and our beach. And, you know, our police department is not only monitored with foot patrol, but the whole boardwalk has cameras on it. So we had to keep an eye on it. Sometimes we have very large crowds. Sometimes, you know, we have very little. But that's the chance you take. That's a decision that I made. You know, a lot of people were like, well, everyone else is doing it. If people that know me personally know I don't do what everyone else does. So that thought went out of the window. But I thought it was important. And I can't tell you, my office, it looks like Hallmark. All the cards that are across my desk and all the emails and phone calls that my staff has got from senior citizens and even some visitors saying that they appreciated during this tough time that we kept the Atlantic City Boardwalk and Beach open.
Well, from the moment that you had made that decision, I start from the premise that particularly here in Atlantic County, in Atlantic City and throughout, these are good people who are caring and they don't want to hurt anybody. And they're not going to gather in crowds or do anything to harm somebody else, but giving them, other than walking around their own block 15 times, giving them the chance to get up on the boardwalk, see the ocean. When you talk about the mental therapy, I can tell you that my family and myself included have gone for jogs and bike rides on the boardwalk frequently, just to get out of the house and just to see the beautiful ocean and to clear your head. And so I imagine there are those who might have given you a little bit of a struggle with that, but starting from the premise that they're good people and they're going to do what's right. And they did. I mean, every time I was up there, I did not see anything that wasn't in line with social distancing. I mean, if you had a group together as a family that were walking together, they'd be in the house together. So I thought that was excellent. You say you're going to do the opening of the ocean this Saturday?
Yes, and I'm terrified.
What are you terrified about?
I told them that, you know, it's supposed to be a rough surf.
Big, strong guy like you're afraid of the little water.
Don't dump me.
No, I tell you, as a boy growing up, my dad, of course, you know, he used to be the chief of the beach. And so I remember the keys. They had the key that ceremonial, whoever the mayor was at the time. I remember Mayor Usry coming. I remember one year Commissioner Clayton came. I just remember that being a real big deal, especially for everybody. So that's great that you're participating, and it's a symbolic gesture, but to let people know within the confines of social distancing, Atlantic City is opening up, and the beaches will be open, and the boardwalk will be open, and to use your brain that God gave you, and don't ruin a good thing by not following the social guidelines. Last week, you said earlier, Marty, that you have always been your own man and done your own thing. I like to think I relate to that and have found myself a lot of times in positions that I have a lot of people who are coming after me. And one of those, I understand that last week, the families of Atlantic City voted to keep the current government. What is your takeaway from that referendum?
I mean, listen, that election is in the rearview mirror. From day one, I believed in the good people of Atlantic City. We won by a resounding victory, 5,221 to 1,444. I think we made a statement, and that we're not going to let outsiders come in here and dictate to us. And the people of Atlantic City are tired of being pushed over. And as I stated, we made a statement that not only was heard around the state, but was heard around the country, looking at some of those national articles. So I'm happy that the good people of Atlantic City, I couldn't be more proud to be your mayor at this time. And, you know, one election down, and I'm about to launch my re-election campaign formally next week. We've been in office 7 months, Pre-pandemic, we were aggressive. We had a plan that we delivered in front of 1,200 people. Then we did it in front of the PR Council, several stakeholders in the state and in the region as well. And everyone has bought into our agenda. And we was rolling out our agenda, and we had to put it on pause. However, the good thing about having a plan and having vision, as soon as things come back to some sense of normalcy, we'll press that play button, take it out of pause, and pick up where we left off. And as I stated, a lot of people, when I announced that emergency declaration at the press conference on March 12th, days before we were even shut down, and it was like, well, why did he do that? What is going on? And now everybody sees that with all of this funding and everything else that we've been on top of with 2 testing sites and feeding our senior citizens and supporting other programs that are feeding people who are hungry, who are going without money. I couldn't be more proud of my administration and what we're doing for the city of Atlantic City during this time. I did a commercial. It was on network television, and it was a line in there that said, Atlantic City, now is not the time to change the form of government in the middle of a crisis. And I'm going to repeat that too. Atlantic City, now is not the time to change leadership in the mayor's office in the middle of a crisis, because people need to remember, I came in the mayor's office 7 months ago in the middle of a crisis. And if I would have fumbled the ball or, embarrassed the city and, not, been able to get things done or have a vision or a plan and working off of other people's vision and plan, not saying that the referendum, would have, been defeated, but I guarantee you could have been much more closer, because people would have said, well, we just had this situation with the former mayor. Look at this guy who wanted to be mayor for a long time. He doesn't know what he's doing. But people aren't having, some people are, but the non-political opportunists are not having that conversation because, people want to hold me to a different standard. We've seen mayors get 4 terms. We've seen mayors get 3 terms, 2 terms, and even 1 term. And I've been in there 7 months, and we accomplished more than some of them did during their whole term. So I'm going back to the good people of Atlantic City to ask them for another chance to serve the remaining year of Mayor Gilliam's term.
All right. And so one of the things you talked about and the people seem to really relate to was that this outside influence, are these the same people, the Camden cabal, who are trying to take the water company, trying to take Bader Field, basically trying to come into our county, political power brokers who control political puppets? And they're the ones you and I were fighting before. They're the only ones that I'm aware of who would put this type of coup in place, and you were able to defeat them. Do you think people are getting more attuned to this Camden cabal and the political morons that they have who front for them?
Well, like I said, I'm the people I'm talking about. When we said our message was, this was the North Jersey billionaire takeover, and the reason why we said North Jersey billionaire takeover is because the person out front, and unlike coronavirus, we deal with the people that we see. And, with Ray Lesniak.
Well, Ray Lesniak is on the payroll of the Camden County cabal. You are aware of that?
Oh, no, I'm not aware of him being on the payroll.
Oh, yeah, he's on the Camden County cabal payroll. The head guy was part of that team, 100%. So I get it. I mean, if you're going to link it to the face, then you're linking it to the Camden County cabal.
Let me finish as well,
sure.
Senator. When you talk about Ray Lesniak coming from North Jersey, basically meeting with people in the community at resorts, telling people in Atlantic City what the city is going to look like, who's going to be in charge of what, etc.
It's terrible.
Then you have Morris Bailey, who clearly spent over $300,000 when casino execs are forbidden from being involved in local politics. I know they want to say, well, it's no candidate, but it still could have had an adverse effect. And then you have Mark Giantonio, taking his marching orders from him, but then you have Bob McDevitt from Local 54. Those are the people that were, out front. The majority of the money of the 500,000+ came from, Mars Bailey. So listen, I don't hesitate to fight anyone. I think you saw that from me on the school board when I first started in politics.
Hey, listen, I saw with you, Mayor, when the first North Jersey casino referendum came up, and I was trying to find allies to fight, and you were one of, if not the most vociferous voices willing to join the fight. And so, believe me, Marty, if there's ever an independent person who's not going to be told what to do, which is part of the reason I enjoy you, because we can disagree on things, but at the end, we're still friends. And I'd rather disagree with somebody who has his own thoughts and has his own plan than somebody who's just some puppet controlled by a political boss who doesn't care about anybody. So I am with you.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that. And we had battles on the school board, and we stood side by side and shoulder to shoulder. My thing is this: I can work with anybody.
Yeah.
And I've shown that immediately after the state takeover. Christie's guys came in there, and Jeff Chiesa, who is Chris Christie's attorney general, they work together in the U.S. Attorney's Office. He will tell you that I was about the business of getting things done for the city of Atlantic City. Yeah. So, like I said, I can work with anyone as long as they have a good intent on making Atlantic City better.
Right.
I'll embrace that, and we can get things done.
So, most importantly, will the Philadelphia Eagles and the rest of the NFL play a full 16-game schedule this year?
I don't know, and that's my escape. Anyone who knows me know that I'm a big-time Eagles fan. As a matter of fact, they had suspended. We made the first payment for the season tickets. They had suspended the payments until further notice, and then last Monday they restarted. The season ticket payments. And also, normally I run a trip every year called Fly Eagles Fly Weekend. We were scheduled to go to Arizona, and then the backup plan was San Francisco. But who knows what that looks like? Similar to the casinos. Will there be fans in the stand? Will there be a 50% capacity? Will there be a 33 and a third percent capacity? No one knows what that look like. I'm a sports guy, and I'm a sports junkie. So I'm looking at this like, going without sports. But once again, public safety and health is paramount. This has taught us. That's why I said we're going to come out better for it, because a lot of people thought that they had pandemic-proof careers or employment, and they finding out a lot of people thought that they had pandemic-proof, investments, and this allowed us to, bring out our creative spirit. Like I said, Atlantic City is people are survivors. We're resilient. Listen, they wrote us off. They always write an obituary and have our funeral. We will get through this. Just like we did with Hurricane Sandy, when the national media sensationalized and said the Atlantic City Boardwalk is gone, and it was a piece that, was...
I was Skinny Al Roker said that.
Yes. So...
Not Heavy Al Roker, I was Skinny Al Roker.
We'll have the people. We always come back with the ultimate comeback story. We always reinvent ourselves. And as I stated, we'll be better for it. And I'm just happy that I'm your leader at this time. Because, listen, I often joke. I said, man, to my friends, I said, man, I must be bad luck. I said, I don't know what it is. They said, well, what you mean? I said, okay, I wanted to be the council president. I said, then I become council president. Days later, they announced a state takeover. We fought that for nearly a year. I said, now I become mayor. I take the seat in the middle of controversy. And then not only that, you got to change the government. And then now, COVID-19, a.k.a. coronavirus. But guess what? My life experiences has prepared me for this moment.
Being a basketball, the Seagulls were considered semi-pro, right?
Yes.
So you're a semi-pro basketball player. Have you watched The Last Dance at all?
All the time.
How great is that?
Because we watch it as a family, and I said to them, well, what are we going to watch on Sunday nights now?
Right,
and,
reruns.
Speaking of that, not only has my basketball and athletic background helped me out tremendously, but the life experiences, I caught a couple bad breaks. Those weren't self-inflicted wounds. They were witch hunts, and I came through that. And there's a saying, tough times don't last, tough people do. And there's a life quote that I live by the late, great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., that says, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands at moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. And these are challenging, controversial times, and I will have it no other way. My administration is focused, we're proactive, and we're delivering for the good people of Atlantic City.
Well, one of the greatest takeaways for me with watching Michael Jordan, the way he approached life and he approached the sport and his profession, was the continual positive attitude and the visualization. And when they asked him, well, you ever worried you're going to miss a certain shot? He looked at him and said, man, why would I worry about missing a shot I haven't even taken? All I do is think about here and now, and I'm positive about everything. And so I know your attitude as a mayor and an athlete pretty much echoes that. And so is there anything else you'd like to add before we go?
Yes, and Chris, to that Michael Jordan story, I tell everybody all the time, I'm not afraid to fail.
Right.
Because you have to be aggressive, you have to think outside the box, and you can't be afraid of man or a situation. And that's what I think that for the people who know me, and there's people to me, because I'm going to always tell it like it is, and I don't have to always be politically correct. And I would say to the people, and particularly I want to talk to the people that voted yes, and the people that voted no, not necessarily for any particular people in office. I would just say, continue to give us a shot, get to know us. My office door has always been open. I don't hold grudges. Listen, I love the competition. We had a lot of fun with that campaign.
Let me ask you this, because my kids, they're children anymore, they're older, but my kids were asking me, they saw that you were on, there's a morning, I think it was a morning radio talk show, pretty popular.
Yes, the Breakfast Club.
The Breakfast Club, yes. So they saw that, and they thought it was great, and they wanted me to ask you, how cool was that?
Oh, it was a tremendous opportunity. I'm personal friends with DJ Envy, who's the host of the Breakfast Club. He's a big fan of Atlantic City, and that's what I said. My job is to put Atlantic City in the best position possible. Millions upon millions of people listen to that show every day.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I'm confident, Senator, that if the pandemic wasn't going on right now, we would have had an announcement months ago that the Breakfast Club will be broadcast in Atlantic City on 99.3 The Buzz. But we'll get through that pandemic, and we'll see if we can make that happen for the good people of Atlantic City, so they can listen to that. That's the #1 urban radio show in America, and not only do millions listen every day, but multiple millions of people watch it online every day. And I was proud to get on there to represent the great city of Atlantic City, where it's always a great day here in the city of Atlantic City.
Well, so they played it for me. We watched it. They had already seen it. They apparently watch a lot of the clips from that group, from the Breakfast Club, and they enjoy it. And so now I can relay that to them. I'm sure they'd like to get a moment on the air whenever they show up. But
and look, they have to listen to the second most popular show in the country that you were on, and that's called In the Mix with Mayor Marty Small Sr.
Ah, that's right.
Each and every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. on WTTH The Touch 96.1, home of In the Mix with Mayor Marty Small Sr.
Well, they get enough of me. Like they're ready for the pandemic to be over, just so they can get out of the house and don't have to listen. But I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule, for giving us an update on how Atlantic City is reopening, what we are doing, the concerns that we want to get people back to work. We want to see businesses reopen, but we have to do it smartly and we have to do it within the guidelines. And I appreciate you and your efforts to make that happen. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, no problem. Thank you for all you do on behalf of the good people in your district. And, thank you for affording me an opportunity to talk to you, to answer your questions for your listening audience. And I'm humbled at the opportunity. Thank you again.
Yeah, absolutely. Stay well, my friend.
All right, thanks.
Bye-bye. Okay, now we have some updates for everybody. The first one we're going to start with is the one that has been torturing all of us. We have been working so hard to get the Department of Labor to do more, to be responsive, to get our unemployment benefits. And so I'm going to start with that, an update on unemployment. The Department of Labor has begun notifying workers who have exhausted their state unemployment benefits of a 13-week extension they may be eligible for under the Federal Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation Program. They couldn't give it many more words. It's PEUC, but the bottom line is under the federal program, there may be a 13-week extension you may qualify for. These workers, you will get notice via email and text message that if eligible, they will be able to certify for weekly benefits according to a schedule based on your Social Security number. The first group will be able to certify starting Sunday. This process is going to continue for several weeks. Once approved, claimants will be able to certify for any back weeks they are eligible for up to the week that ends March 28th, and will be able to claim the additional $600 supplement known as Pandemic Unemployment Compensation, or PUC, starting with the week ending April 4. Payments generally arrive in 2 business days after certifying. The supplemental payment arrives separately several days later. There is a website that you can call. I'm going to put it in, or look up and then get a number to call. There's a website that you can look up, which will give you all the information that you need. I'm going to post it in the comments section. We all know unemployment continues to be a disaster. Right now, my office has over 1,200 active cases. We've been continually in touch and recently had a call with the Commissioner of Labor just yesterday. He continues to assure me they are working to improve the system and expects another 82,000 cases to be approved over the weekend. So I know nothing short of receiving your benefits matters. And though I've heard back from families who've told us unemployment resolved this issue over the past weekend, but that still leaves a vast majority and considerable number of families who are still waiting on their benefits. And what is most troubling and motivates me to keep fighting is many of these families are going into their 10th week without any income. And this colossal failure of the Department of Labor to prepare and adequately staff their office is unacceptable. And to have people who are put on hold or hung up on is simply unacceptable. And what we're talking about is people who want to work. These are people who were put out of work because the government, and rightfully so, decided that due to the pandemic, we need to slow things down. But if you put them out of work and then you tell them we're going to give you unemployment benefits, you ought to answer the phone and you ought to provide them. People have had enough already. So there are so many people. We have over 1,000, 1,500, literally 12-hour days, including working on the weekends. And so there are a number of you who may have left voicemails who called back with no answer. What I ask of you is please leave your name and your phone number and your email address. Your phone number and your email address are very important because we have a limited staff here. And what we did was, when we saw how many families were being impacted, how many families couldn't get a straight answer from somebody in government, we have 2 people on our staff, and we got them trained through the Department of Labor as best we could. Then we're fortunate we have wonderful volunteers, well, 3 of them anyway, who come in and we're able to train them. So basically, we've taken a legislative office and done everything we can to be accommodating and help people, which is exactly why we run for office and what we want to do. But we are overwhelmed. As quick as we empty the voicemail and write down everybody's name and start responding to them, it fills up in 2 more hours. And so we are and we will continue to work for you and do everything we can, but please leave your name and your phone number when you call. The testing sites are still the same. If you want to be tested, we're going to put information in the comments section where county residents can go and get tested. Now, when we talk about what's open, the governor has issued a number of decrees recently to open things up. And here's a quick rundown of where we are. As of Friday, May 22nd, beaches and lakes will be open with capacity restrictions enforced by the municipalities. Swimming is permitted at beaches and lakes up to the local municipality to determine how to protect swimmers and lifeguards. It appears as though one of the ways is 1 guard per stand with stands spread out to also help spread out bathers. And I will tell you, as a Ventnor resident, they put everybody in that little box and it's very hard to swim. So I think it would be wonderful to have 1 guard and then maybe, 30 yards, 40 yards away, another one, so that we could actually spread out in the ocean. That's the way it's meant to be done anyway. So that's just my 2 cents. Restrooms at beaches, lakes, parks, and golf courses may reopen with proper cleaning and sanitations. Beaches can't deny access to non-residents. But remember, for Ventnor, Margate, and Longport, there are beach tag requirements. And certainly if they didn't pay for the privilege to be there, they shouldn't be let on. Boardwalk restaurants, so people know they are open for delivery and takeout only. Masks will not be required on beaches, lakes, and restaurants, but obviously strongly recommended and must be utilized if you're within 6-foot distance. And so it's just common sense. And I would encourage everybody to please take it seriously. Wear the mask and be respectful. There are seniors, there are people with underlying conditions who are counting on us to be responsible. And even taking it beyond that, the small businesses and everybody who needs to get back to work, the way to do it is by keeping the curve flattened and by continuing to act responsibly. If we were to do anything that would disrupt that, it would be horrible, not just in lives, but all across the board. Charter boat and boat rentals are to resume, and they did last Sunday on May 17th. Batting cages and golf ranges, shooting and archery ranges, horseback riding, swimming pools, and municipal pools are open. Elective surgeries and invasive procedures will be allowed effective Tuesday, May 26th. Dog parks can now operate as long as they meet all social distancing requirements. Tennis courts are now open. County can set it, or the local municipality. In-person sales at auto, motorcycle dealerships, and bicycle shops are permitted as of this morning. Guidance for motor vehicle offices and final guidance for campgrounds are going to be issued shortly. Amusement parks, playgrounds, arcades, visitor centers at the moment all remain closed, as do contact sports and organized events. With graduation in schools, I know many families want a graduation ceremony for their children. I can tell you I am blessed, just like you. I have a daughter who's graduating Atlantic Cape Community College. She worked very hard for 2 years to get her biomedical associate's degree. And sadly, right now, it looks like there'll be a virtual type ceremony in June. And so I feel it firsthand, the frustration. But the reality is her grandmother, her mom, Barb Rhodes, somebody who is at a position where she understands that not being able to do the graduation is to save lives, and people like her mom and others who have underlying conditions and are seniors. And so they're making the most of it. Also, my son, Danny, he graduated Rutgers College this year. And of course, they're not having a graduation either. We get it. We understand. And but we are trying to do everything we can to see what we can do. And today, in fact, I am joining with my fellow colleagues in the Senate, urging the governor to trust our high schools to stage well-planned events that would offer our students the recognition they earned. And so what we're saying is, look, there has to be a way done responsibly to allow forms of graduation to go on throughout our high schools. And certainly in the fall, we should be in a position to put people back in school. Parents trying to homeschool and work, and especially if you have multiple children, it is just not realistic. And school can be done, as we have seen through the statistics and what the experts tell us, but it has to be done a little differently. It won't be what you're used to. In closing, I just want to thank you again and understand that all of you are great. It is amazing and it is an honor week after week to see you stand up and love each other and help each other. And there's this great show by the guy from The Office. Anyway, Krenicki, I think that's his name. It's called Some Good News. And I highly recommend, if you're looking for something to see during this time that can lift your spirits. But to everybody in Atlantic County, we love you. We thank you. We will continue to do everything we can to help. You have a great, great day.